Hey everybody, this is Talkative Carl back again for another movie spoiler review for the month of February, Black History Month, and a nice little uh combo here because a couple of days ago it was the start of the year of the tiger for the I don't want to call it the Chinese New Year, but it was like a whole like holiday. It was like a whole thing, with the Chinese calendar a couple of days ago, and it gave me the idea, like while I'm doing like a Black History Month, I should have like a nice combination, toss in for something for my Asian brethren, and like Rush Hour. And it's like it's been years since I've seen. Well, not say years, but it's been a while uh, since I've seen the movie, and always wanted like to actually have like some buddy cop movies to do reviews of. So I figured that Rush Hour would be perfect, not only for this particular month, it fits. So, uh, this is like this movie was released in 1998, September 1998. Wow. Starring Jackie Chan, Chris Tucker, geez, like uh, fun combo of dynamic duo. Directed by Brett Ratner, who done like several films. Obviously, Money Talks was his first film. I didn't know he directed that, but then Rush Hour was his second film. He did Family Man. He did all the Rush Hour films, and supposedly there's supposed to be a Rush Hour. Since 2017, it's been like you know, talks with Jackie Chan and doing a potential Rush Hour 4. I'm not sure, like, as great as Jackie Chan is, and I don't know, I think they should just left it at 3. It's, been so long since Rush Hour 3, because that came out in 2007, and it's like, it might not, you don't know. There's also did like a few movies that I really want to do reviews for the channel that I really love. Uh, Quite a bit of heist movies. He did After the Sunset, starring Pierce Brosnan and Salma Hayek. I watched that a handful of times, and the soundtrack to that is amazing. It's starring also Woody Harrelson and Naomi Harris and Don Cheadle. Did X-Men: The Last Stand, Tower Heist, also a great movie I like. He did 2014's Hercules with Dwayne The Rock Johnson. So yeah, he had his hand in good significant stuff. He's only a portion of his critically acclaimed, but I think bulk of it is like you know loved by many as far as like sleeper hits kind of stuff. Except for Hercules, I don't think anybody liked the movie. But anyway, uh, the movie begins with in Hong Kong, Jackie Chan's character Inspector Lee stopping this arm I want to say arms deal, but uh, he's on the case of identifying and stopping this crime lord called Jun Tao, and he spots his right hand man Sang, uh, who confiscated all these stolen Chinese cultural treasures that Jun Tao has pilfered, and this disrupts Jun Tao's like you know uh, his money. Essentially, he just disrupted the whole entire thing. Uh, uh, you get to meet his superior, Council Han, played by, might butcher this a bit, Zimei, Zimei, who was a great character actor. He's been in like a handful of stuff, honestly, but I always recognize him as Consul Han. It was probably the first film I actually even recognized him in. And honestly, I like Consul Han. He has like a subtle presence. I mean, he's present, but it's like he's not just like a background character. He makes himself known as, it's like, he's got like this, aura about him, and it's like Consul Han. And he's like, it's Consul Han. And he has a young daughter named Su Yang. Su Yang is funny as hell in this. Like we need to have some kind of like I don't know, not like a tier list, but something where it's like we can grade all these child, characters in these, at least a handful of these films that, we all are aware of. It's like, like Rush Hour, or, Star Wars Phantom Menace, and, and so on. It's like, grade them from like, least to greatest, because like Sun Yang's like, should, if I can put a grade tier on Sun Yang, I would put her on A tier, because she's not an annoying character. Maybe it's because like you don't see her that often, but times you see her and she is fun, and she, like this little girl, I don't think she actually grew up to be an actor. I think this is her only thing she's done, but she's, she was, great so far as like, like every time I watch this, I never had a problem with Sun Yang, even when she doesn't like a fair share of crying, but it's like, it's not ear piercing, if you know what I mean. It's like, it's like she shows genuine distress, but not like over the top hammy distress, and it's not subtle either, like she's, deadpan about it. And when she, when she's cheerful, she's, not dopey about it. She's like, it's like, Three Bears. It's like, she's doing it just right. And my favorite scene of her, well, there's two favorite scenes I have of her. One, when she's singing to Mariah Carey's song, which some might don't realize, because Mariah Carey's song, that you seen from the trailers of Ryan Reynolds' movie last year, Free Guy. It's like, when I did my review of that, check out on my channel in the link in the description, and my review for Free Guy. I mentioned towards the end how like it didn't dawn on me that Mariah Carey song, the first time I ever heard it was from Rush Hour. And I think, wherever her album was coming out around this time, it's probably was playing on the radio constantly. So, but I wasn't even privy to that kind of thing. Like, like I'm not really was like engaged in like music like that, when I was a kid. But man, she was like singing a song. I think everybody still remembers that moment with Su Yang with those bodyguards, like, I'm so into you, it's like, oh my god, she is so doggone adorable. I was like, every time I bring, like, if you bring up to a certain people to a certain age, it's like maybe like I don't know, like mid, at the very least mid 20s on up. If you bring up, Rush Hour and Sun Yang, you immediately think, they'll probably immediately think of that moment. And then my second favorite Sun Yang moment is when, of course, a lot of people will bring this up too. It's like, push your goddamn button. It's like it's like, God, I love her. Oh my God, she is a spunky little, it's like the right amount of spunk without being like, over the top with it, where it's like, like overcorrecting with like strong female or whatever like that. And it's like she just got a right amount of spunk that is like, put smiles on people's faces. Honestly, I just love that little girl. But she was also a student of Inspector Lee, who's her martial arts teacher. and he looks at her like pretty much like his like goddaughter. And Kansahan uh, is taking a diplomatic position in L.A. and uh, then once you transfer, well, not transfer, but it's like I forgot the technical name for movies, like screen wipe or something, like transition. Yeah, screen transition into Detective Carter, played by Chris Tucker, who is botching a sting operation because he's doing it all by himself, and as because he was pretty much like trying to get ready to bust this arms dealer who's trying to present him the C4 explosives in his car, and these two beat cops, come in and pretty much screwed up the whole doggone thing. And Carter's in the meantime trying to get them to go away. The criminal named Clive, played by Chris Penn, he tried to take Carter hostage. Carter subdues him, but typical police fashion, puts the beat cops put their guns on Carter, and Clive recovered, got his wits about him again, takes out his pistol, shoots at the two cops, wounds them, and takes off in his car with the bomb inside. Carter goes chasing after them and shoots at the car. It explodes, but not before Clive hops out in time, before he ends up getting killed. And then, of course, typical Chris Tucker fashion, he always had to throw in some Michael Jackson thing, because he's such a Michael Jackson fanatic. But then again, who am I to talk? I love Eminem, so it's like I can't really. But Eminem never had no kind of like allegation to deal with before, so at least no like child molestation. None that has been proven. Allegedly kind of situation. So, Carter heads back to headquarters, getting grilled by his co-worker named starts with a J. Johnson, Tanya Johnson, played by Elizabeth Pena, who she was supposed to have been brought along to that sting operation, but Carter never wants to work with a partner ever. Even the fact that he, because I mean, this is kind of like a thing when it comes to like buddy cop movies from like the 70s into like the let's say, well, I don't think not so much now. They kind of like got out of that a bit, but I think like the very latest mid 2000s, where they kind of had this it's like a trope that's they kind of coined it as the what was it, Clint Eastwood thing, one of his famous characters from the old West. Crap. Well, it's pretty much like none of that cowboy stuff kind of situation, and you typically get that in certain buddy cop films when it's like the department's not behind you, so you gotta still solve this case on your own more than likely. Yeah, but anyway, while Sun Yan's going off to school, she's in, her vehicle gets ambushed, her bodyguards get killed by Sang, who kidnaps Sun Yang and start and then Council Han gets told about the kidnapping of his daughter. he calls in the FBI and he insists on getting his trusted detective, Inspector Lee, to help with the case. He's already on mid-flight to LA from Hong Kong, so the FBI, who doesn't want to work with anybody from Hong Kong because they don't want to deal with the international incidents if something goes wrong, so they decide to toss him on to the laps of the LAPD, which the captain pawns off to Carter as a pseudo punishment in the guise of like praise for his outstanding initiative. But when Carter picks up Lee, you get the classic line that almost everybody in the world remembers. Do you understand the words that come out of my mouth? That line. And I know Chris Tucker, his voice is like Chris Rock's, is good in small doses. At a constant back to back, even after all these years, because he hasn't been in the limelight like that aside from maybe a few comedy shows here and there. You forget, how like ear splitting his voice can be. There's no knock to him. He did a lot with his voice, with his roles that he was that he got over the years, and he made it work. But like I said, it was great in small doses in some cases. Even in his iconic movie Friday, it's just like, here and there it got, annoying, but not too much. I mean, like, it just, depends on the situation. So, for some reason, now, here's the thing. The first kind of, like, grievance I always had with this film is that even though Lee eventually, comes clean with the fact that he can speak English, he did not, after Carter tries to, maybe it's just the rudeness of Carter himself, but if Lee wanted to get things done with trying to track Soo down, I don't know why he would be messing around with Carter by not addressing, like, yes, my name is Inspector Lee. I need to go to Council Han to help with this case. Just say it. Don't mess around, just to, because as he put it later on, it's like, I like to let people talk who like to talk. That way I'll know how full of shit they are. Kind of situation. It's like, well, while you bullshitting with this dude, you could have just, fessed up from the jump and have him take you to Council Han. If he wasn't going to do that, they'd bounce. And like, what's with all the rigmarole? But anyway, he, and they go out. It's like a little funny little thing while, Carter's like beside himself with the fact that, like, hey, I got, lumped with the whole babysitting job and everything like that. I'm not having that. I'm going to solve the case by myself, and then I'll show them kind of situation, because he has a goal in mind to get into the FBI and move up, like status and rank. And then while he's taking Lee around, he gets, talks with like an informant, selling star maps, trying to figure out, like, he finds out that, there's like a big player in town who's buying up all these weapons and explosive, but he doesn't know his name. Then he goes to which I'm assuming it would be Crenshaw, and speaks to his cousin, who you don't know is his cousin, but his, obviously like his cousin is like a big time kind of like a gangster, wearing like a very bright red starburst looking suit, which even back then is like wild. I mean, like, you gotta be fair, like, people in the 90s, it's not as outrageous as something that you see in like the 70s or 80s, but it's like, you know, you know, certain suits, they were the style of the time, and it can't fully like blame them. It's like a whole lot better than what you probably would have saw in the 80s and 70s. But while Carter's interrogating them, this is another, I mean, it was still at the time, but even still, it wasn't okay. And it's like, when I remember watching this, because I didn't see it in the theaters, but I watched this movie when it was on DVD when I was a kid, and it was jarring for me and my brother and my cousins who was watching this with me, and I believe it, like, my stepmother was the one watching with us. Don't know if my father was there, but you see, while like Lee is outside the door, where like Carter's inside the back room, talking with his cousin, trying to figure out about who's buying all these like weapons and explosives. Because Lee's trying to do what Carter says, and follows Lee, do what I do, kind of stuff. And when Carter walks in, initially he's like, dapping up every brother in the room. It's like, what's up, my N-word, what's up, my N-word. And then Lee repeats the actual word twice, because a bartender, wanted him to repeat what he just said. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, why would the director and writers allow Jackie to say that word? I don't even think at the time Jackie Chan understood what that word represent. I like to think he did, but like I said, I'm not gonna try to have somebody boycott or cancel Jackie Chan or whatever for a movie that came out in the late 90s. Okay, he hasn't done it since or anything like that, or he hasn't shown any kind of racial issues or anything like that. It was always like a glaring like a thing for me at that time. It was like, why would you have Jackie Chan say that doggone word? And I'm surprised that I don't even know Chris Tucker ever like raised the issue on set about, like, because him and Jackie Chan are actually like good friends, but it was just like, I'm surprised that it wasn't like something nobody raised the issue on set. But I mean, like, it's acting. I mean, it's like like anybody with good sense know he's not saying it for real with malicious intent or anything like that. So it's not gonna. But it's kind of, they could have. Well, it's kind of like Tarantino, where he allows certain white characters actually say the N-word, even in the Django movie. So I can't really say whether or not they shouldn't do it, but and it's just like, it's just weird things that despite it being acting, is just kind of off-putting on some level. But nonetheless, the bartender and people playing pool all starting to try to beat up Jackie, Inspector Lee. And of course, typical Jackie Chan fashion, he started using all these like kung fu moves and all the tools at his disposal, and just started whipping everybody's ass. And it was amazing. But after getting fed up for feeling like Carter's wasting his time, Carter promises he'll take him to the console after stop pick up something to eat at this corner store. He handcuffs Jackie and Lee to the steering wheel, but he's end up escaping. Makes it to the console by himself, and beats up FBI agents in the process, and then runs into Consul Han, and then Han, you know, after like Lee and Carter, get to the Han's home, you know, everything's kind of like they finally get out of the whole secretive like where's Lee and like you know this getting beyond this subterfuge about like G14 classified kind of case, blah blah blah. Get all past that finally, and you get to the crux of the story, which some might say kind of linger on too long with that whole G14 classified stuff and keeping like Han in the dark. But I tend to agree to a certain extent. I personally think, okay, they do it in just the amount of time right before it gets tiresome, and they just made it kind of feel, it's like, yeah, if it would have gone on maybe like 2-3 minutes longer, then I would have agreed, like, yeah, this is way too long for trying to keep Han in the dark. And and this movie would have been a whole lot worse if they had to keep that little secret thing and they work behind the scenes trying to solve the case without everybody being on the same page up until almost the third act. That would have been annoying. So Carter inadvertently picks up the phone trying to get his boss, try to call his superior to get in touch with Consul Han, who also has the FBI superior all together, so that way they can all clear this whole thing up, because he was completely fed up with the whole BS in the riot act he was given. But they got the kidnappers on the phone, and they been told to meet them at this abandoned building for like a drop off. But of course, they the FBI think they slick, getting their SWAT members into the building, which ends up blowing up, which Lee kind of figures out that would have been the case, because all that seemed fishy to him. This is way too easy kind of situation. And he spots Sang. Him and Carter give chase. In the midst of the chase, Sang drops this detonator remote, and they go to Johnson, who's like a bomb expert, which you think a bomb expert would be more precise, but they go to her to figure out what it is. She suspects it can easily as open up a garage door or set off some C4. And once he says C4, Carter gets the idea. Okay, I want to go to Clive. He's the main dude that I recently locked up that handles C4. So he goes to Clive because he's in prison, and thanks to Lee's strong determination of trying to find Sun Yang, Clive gives up the name to Juntao and where to find him, which is in Chinatown. And so this is another great scene. One of the best scenes in this film, honestly, is where while they're staking out the restaurant where they believe Juntao might show up, they just need to wait to see anybody they recognize go inside to confirm that. So they listen on the radio, which, by the way, another great moment in the movie where it's like, you don't touch a black man's radio kind of situation. It's like, that was funny. It's still funny to this day. A lot of stuff is still funny to this day. And it's just great comedic timing on everybody's part. But they listen to the radio. There's like a little montage while the police is getting ready to do like a actual money drop-off situation, which by and large, I'm not sure by police protocol. It's kind of like you don't negotiate with terrorists kind of situation. It's like I'm pretty sure you should pretend like you're making a drop off, which it doesn't seem like they're actually doing that, because you're like, oh, let's give them the money so we can get the daughter back. And it's like, okay, how are you going to deal with what's stopping them from trying to pull this down again if you get the daughter back? It's like, I don't think that's like a right protocols personally. But they sitting out in outside the restaurant by Carter's car, and they listen to Edwin Starr's war, and you see them like teaching each other certain stuff, and it's honestly it's just fun to see. Whereas like Carter's teaching Lee how to dance and sing with some soul, while Lee is teaching Carter how to certain martial arts moves and how to take a gun from a suspect. And like to this day I still remember how he did it, because it's like it was so like just it was in your face so far as like because he did it quite a few times, and it's always stuck with me the way he did it, just like with this thing like kind of situation. I'm not sure if realistic. I'm pretty sure Jackie Chan can easily do that, but I'm not sure of like how easily everyday people, maybe with some training, is feasible. But it's just like it's just so smooth the way he does it. It's just so cool. Jackie Chan is just like a beast, and he's awesome. I love Jackie Chan. That's why I like wanted to do my one of my first few TV show reviews, which was Jackie Chan Adventures, which you can find on the channel. You can hear my thoughts on each of the seasons. But then Lee introduces Carter to some authentic Chinese food, and to this day I always wanted to try eel and camel's hump. And whenever I go to a hibachi restaurant, I have to remember to request if they have anything on the menu that's like eel or camel's hump. And I want to give it a try. Ever since this freaking movie, I have never given that doggone dish a try, and I want to try it. I'm gonna make it like a thing this year. Okay, next time I go to an hibachi restaurant, which I haven't been since like 2019, I want to go to a hibachi restaurant at some point, like when it gets a little warmer and I have like some quite a few days off, maybe for because when my birthday comes up, I want to do like a weekend, just like a staycation kind of thing, and from work and whatever like that, and like just go to a hibachi restaurant and just chill. And I gotta keep in mind ask if they have eel or camel's hump. But Carter at first called it greasy shit because he like looks can be deceiving, and it's like a funny back and forth with him and the guy at the kiosk, providing the food. And it's like I ain't no punk bitch. Hey, I ain't no punk bitch. And it's so doggone funny. And then you get like a bit of like a little backstory between the two characters, where they reveal their fathers. Each of their fathers were police officers, and they both died in the line of duty. But Carter, which you find out later, is the reason why he doesn't have a partner, because he saw the fact that his father was doing like a routine traffic stop. Some punk who didn't want to get a ticket ends up taking out his gun and shooting his father dead. And his partner, instead of coming out, it didn't come out to help. And he always saw that as like a detriment, because he'd rather trust, handle things on his own rather than relying on anybody else, because he doesn't believe that when push comes to shove, that said partner will have his back to the fullest until we get, Lee comes into play. And in the sequels, you learn a little bit more about like Lee's backstory. At some point, I will get to like Rush Hour 2 and 3. Uh, then they see Sang walk inside, so they can confirm, yeah, like Juntao, this is his spot. So Carter goes in because he feels like he wouldn't be recognized, and Lee stays out for 5 minutes, and then comes in later. So Carter ends up going upstairs and sees the group of the Jewtown Syndicate, and he gets jumped on, but Lee managed to come in and nick of time to save Carter, and a fight ensues, and they rush out before while a couple of gang members manage to get their guns to start shooting. They make their escape before the kitchen gas and flames ignite and blowing up the kitchen. They get busted by the police officers who were intending to make the job, but didn't go through. It didn't happen because they feel like these two scared off Juntao. This upsets Consul Han, so Lee is ordered to go back to Hong Kong. Carter is going to be reprimanded, possibly suspended, and then Carter not wanting to let this go. He wants to save that little girl, and he put inside his ego for once to focus on that. He gets Johnson's help to find Lee's where Lee's boarding. He goes to talk to Lee, gives like a heart to heart, convinces him to help him find Sun Yao, and they figure Juntao has to be at the LA Convention Center where Consul Han is supposed to be showing off the Chinese artifacts in this exhibit. And of course he's getting all emotional because he's still thinking about Sun Yao. But they surmise that they're gonna make the ransom drop at this not surmise, but they definitely gonna be making a drop at the exhibition. Carter disrupts the whole entire function and get all the guests to evacuate the building. It is revealed that Consul Han's a British police commander, Thomas Griffin, to be Juntao, who did his kidnapping in order to get money as compensation for what Lee did so far as disrupting his deal with the Chinese artifacts he was trying to sell on the black market. And of course, typical colonizer fashion, and stealing artifacts from other cultures to profit from. And then you get the awesome scene where Carter brings in Sun Yao, push the goddamn button, move moment. It's so awesome. A shootout eventually breaks out, and Johnson managed to get the explosive vest off of Sun Yao's body because if you try to take it off, it'll explode automatically. Thanks to a trigger mechanism. But she disarms it so she can at least take it off. But the remote detonator can that Juntao has can easily still set it off. So Lee gets the vest and chases down Juntao while Carter takes on Sang in a shootout, kills him, and doing a scuffle in the rafters while Juntao's trying to make it to a helicopter on the helipad. He falls dead, and Carter saves Lee by using one of the Chinese flags that's hanging from the rafters to secure his fall. Sun Yao is safe. Council Han, as a reward, gives Lee and Carter like almost like a, I won't say all expenses paid trip, but it's kind of like, as a reward, he gets like a kind of like a special treatment, kind of, guest pass, I won't say the world's your oyster kind of situation, but you get with them the special royal treatment and like vacation to Hong Kong. And Carter mentions it's been 5 years since he actually took a vacation. I'm thinking like every job you have to take a vacation within like after like at least 1 year. You'll think like typical careers you need like at least to use like a vacation time in each year. But anyway, the two FBI agents who were working with Han to do the ransom offer Carter a position with the FBI after he comes back from his vacation. Carter, in hilarious fashion, turns it down, told them to take that badge and shove up your ass, all up in your ass. I'm LAPD. Like, bitch. It was like a funny moment, but it's like it's a nice little arc with Carter. Like you see, like thanks to this whole misadventure, and with Johnson, who been trying to tell him from the beginning is that you've been thinking about everybody. You've been thinking about yourself more so than anybody else, and so it's all been about you. And with like spending time with Lee and helping Sun Yang, he has egotistical moments in the sequels, but it's not like a abhorrent thing, or at least it's not like his he's not like so big with it as he was at the beginning of this film. Now he has also a partner he can trust, and he learns that he's more as despite the FBI talking trash about the LAPD, Carter comes to realize he's happy where he is as like an LAPD officer, and he doesn't want to be like these chumps that who are willing to give him I want to say almost let this kid die, but they weren't. They were stonewalling. If he doesn't want to be part of like an organization that will keep like stonewalling fellow officers of the law in order to try to assist innocent people. It's just like they kind of like do two different tactics on trying to like do the right thing. At least in my opinion. So, first class, Lee and Carter's on first class trip to Hong Kong, and like Lee is impressed with like Carter's Chinese knowledge, where he's like telling a stewardess "Shishi ni nihame," and he's just like a nice little callback to like the earlier scene. It was like, you didn't tell me you spoke Chinese. I never said I didn't. You assume I didn't. He never did. But then like Lee, just to annoy him, starts singing off key the song War, and the movie ends. And it's always been like a staple with Rush Hour where you get to see like the bloopers, and it's always hilarious. But you can see like Jackie Chan, it's like an impressive, he does all his stunts. He's always done his stunts. Even though like most of the time he gets hurt, but he prides himself in being able to do his own stunts. Great film. And like my personal opinion is like very minimum, despite like certain this did great in the box office. I mean, like, I think this, very minimum kind of issues. It's very, good. It's like a very good buddy cop film. One of the, like it's right up there with like the first Lethal Weapon film, It's right up there with like what's that one with Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe, that buddy cop film. I'm blanking on it because I really like that too. It took me a while before I eventually got around to watching that film. Uh, the Nice Guys. Whew, jeez. Uh, the Nice Guys. It's like it's up there with those like very very iconic buddy cop films. This movie had like a budget between like 33 to 35 million dollars, and raked in the box office dough of 244.4 million. Now here's two interesting facts. Jackie Chan never really cared for this movie. Like, he liked the way he used to do movies prior to this in Hong Kong, where it's like 10 minutes of, him doing like martial arts action scenes. Almost every other like situation, which we do typically love. But he like respects like the box office revenue it raked in, and how people love the film, despite his personal feelings. Uh, and this is like a fun fact I did not know. The founder of Rotten Tomatoes created Rotten Tomatoes in the first place thanks to Rush Hour. After Rush Hour, since the founder, what's his name? The founder, Sing Dong, after this movie came out, like a couple weeks after, he coded the website, and just shortly before the well, at least he spent 2 weeks gathering all of Jackie Chan's Hong Kong action films, and anticipation for the Rush Hour movie, and the website went live just shortly before Rush Hour was released into films. I didn't know this movie was like the catalyst for the Rotten Tomatoes in the first place. I'm not even sure if that was like a common knowledge, honestly. But the more you know, man, wow, you learn something new every day. But and this is like the first like directly American film that Jackie Chan participated in, and working with like Carter. And I remember hearing stories about how like Jackie Chan learned a little bit more. He didn't. I'm not sure he was like. I'm pretty sure he spoke a few English words. So far as like fluency, I think Chris Tucker helped with that. So could stand the reason why they're such good friends to this day. And it's like this movie like made an like a cultural impact more so than we realize. You think it's just like a fun buddy cop film, but it did a lot for cinema. So that definitely should be acknowledged and praised. And I think as much as I respect Jackie Chan, I'm pretty sure he's kind of like in his ways about his feelings about this film, and I'm pretty sure he also acknowledges the people's acknowledgement on the cultural impact this film has. He just disagrees, but it's just like just the way it's kind of hit home for a lot of people. This is an impressive film, and got sequels out of this, and a potential fourth one, which I don't know if that would be a good idea. They might just need to just let it go. But anyway, that is my review for Rush Hour. I'm still going to be wrapping up Keanu Reeves' month with the John Wick films next week. But also, in the meantime, throughout this month, I will be doing other reviews for certain movies about like romantic comedies and you know uh, you know very like black films. Not like I personally don't like uh, you know black trauma films. I'm not doing those. I don't like those. You know, is stuck in my craw. I want to show like some good films with like great black actors, and it's not about like their suffering or anything like that. So look forward to those. There's at least a handful of those I want to do this month. So I will see you guys in a little bit. Take care.